the notes.
They know that if they get us to come together, baby, it's gonna be some trouble. I feel like that's why we all got that weird, not saying we all got that weird person, we all kind of got a weird thing with each other, like how we be so against each other, how we be in competition, how some of us be like, oh, I ain't buying black. I be trying to support black business, I just can't. And knowing there's so many that you could try another one, it's something. And I feel like it's because if we actually came together, it's over with. Y'all, it's over with. Everything gonna multiply. If we could just get on one accord and just come together. And that's why they taught us, and that's why it's been put in us and instilled in us to be against each other. Because we can't come together. So if we come together, everything will come clashing down. Everything. Everything, baby. What? This person, they teamed up together. What they doing? Trades? We gonna be doing trades. Ain't gonna be no money gonna be circulated right through us. It's just gonna be touching our hands. They can't have that because we talented in everything that we do. We talented in everything we do.
Now, who said it's a lie? Who said it's a lie?
All the other universes are as real as the one you and I are in now.
Suppose you're right. What would it mean for me?
You have to start thinking of yourself as not as an entity existing in one universe, but an entity existing in the multiverse as a whole. And so there are other copies of you and of me in other universes. Some of these copies are completely identical to us.
What makes me go into multiple copies in multiple universes?
You already exist in multiple copies. Initially, they are all identical. And then when a moment of choice happens, both a microscopic one and one made by you consciously, these identical copies become different from one another.
So suppose you're walking in Oxford, and you have to choose to go left or right.
In that case, for instance, it could be that in half the universes I go left and in half I go right. What we see around us is not the whole of reality. That reality is much more varied and has a great multiplicity. This is what we call multiple universes. This is a laser pointer that we use in giving lectures. I shine the laser through the hole. We can see a little spot on the screen over there. You'd expect to see just, if there's one hole, you'd expect to see one spot, but that's already not true. You see quite a complicated pattern. What would happen if we made a second hole? We get a completely different pattern. And through 3 holes, there's a different pattern again. And what we must conclude from this is that something is coming through those other holes and shoving our photon aside. And that process is interference.
How do I even know who I am, what I am, if there are multiple copies of me?
That is the same question that one of a pair of identical twins might say if there are 2 identical twins called Joe and Jack. And Joe might ask, well, why am I Joe and him Jack? Well, the answer is, if you were Jack and he was Joe, you'd still be asking this question. The thing is, the fact of the matter is, there are 2 of you, and they are identical, or they were identical, until they started to become different by having different things happen to them. And it's the same with you and your counterparts in other universes. They start off identical. When they're identical, it doesn't make any difference whether you call them one copy of you or several. But then when they start becoming different, it is worth calling them different versions of you, slightly different versions. Some of them, in more distant parts of the multiverse, will be so different from you that it isn't worth calling them you anymore.
Some Doctor Strange type. You ever been driving and a memory or something popped up and you was there, had an attitude, about to argue, and then clicked back and you was driving again, didn't crash?
I just realized passport is short for passportal. Cause you pass it through a portal. Why the list on an airplane is called a manifest. Cause when you at a high altitude, you can manifest better. Why they call it an air port. There's a portal in the air. Why is it traveling to different states? Traveling to different states means that you're traveling through different states of consciousness. That's why they call them states. Because every time that you land in a different state, notice how you feel differently. That state put you in a new state of consciousness. Why the captain always say, are all the souls on board accounted for? Why all the souls? You got Spirit Airlines because you have a soul. You got Delta Airlines. Delta having to do with deep state meditation, deep wavelengths. They want to put you in a meditative state when you're in the air. Delta. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yo, and she ain't even lying. Look, Detroit, we got the Transcendent, 20 mile. It's the Golden Corridor. Muskegon. Look, portals everywhere. She ain't right. That's crazy. That's crazy.